Hey everyone, I'm actually Carissa Wu from Carissa Wu Photography, and we are doing a dual podcast today. I'm from Get a Heck Yes from Carissa Wu, and we have the lovely.
Alora Rachelle. Hi. From the Hello CEO podcast.
Yes, yes. And we decided to be business buddies because we are both podcasters and fellow photographers, and we help the wedding industry. And yeah, we totally connected through Instagram, and we decided to do an episode together.
Yay. It only makes sense because we're the same person. It's going to like creep everybody out as we get further down because we're both threes. I love, is that a stroller in the background?
Oh, I didn't even notice.
I
I'll push it
love
out of the
this.
way.
We're
I
both
got a stroller,
moms.
I got a Peloton.
Yeah, see the Peloton. Oh my god, that's my next purchase. And then we both have two kids. Like it's gonna be fun, and I'm really excited to dive in the topics that we have lined up today. Kind of have like no notes, which I think is going to be even more fun. This is going to be more like a conversation versus like an interview. And yeah, this is going to be great.
Yeah, okay, so I guess for just both of our listeners, tell us a little bit about you in a nutshell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like I tell this story so much, but if you don't know me, so I started off like, oh my goodness, years ago, almost a decade now. I've been in the industry for almost a decade, and I taught myself marketing, because that's like the biggest thing you have is like, oh, I want to start a business, and then you're like, I have no clients, but I
Uh-huh.
have family members, right? So I learned how to like market, build a portfolio, and then eventually like went quote unquote viral ish in the Metro Times
Ooh.
here and booked like
Wow.
20, no, I had booked 17 weddings that month. And I just got home from the hospital with my first daughter, and I was like crying in the couch, like as my husband says, fresh in stitches. It was great.
Oh,
So I guess you could say like
wow.
it was just like a really fast growth, and so I had to learn a lot of things really quickly. One, how to keep that going like with like client experience, customer service, and then also just like systems. I had no systems. I did not have a
Mm.
CRM. I did not have Dubsado Honeybook. I was like, I'll just send them a contract with this PDF and fax it to me because I'm a grandma, and it didn't work out. So when that happened, I had like my whole life just shifted, but I was able to eventually get things together, and it really gave me the push that I needed to like scale. Because I was forced to like let go of editing. I had to outsource. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I have a child that is, you know, uh, I don't know, brand new. And
Yeah.
she required a lot of me. And I was like, okay, well, I can't constantly be like, I'm going to edit these weddings. Nobody can be me. So I had to learn how to do a lot of things quickly. And I think it was better for me that way because I'm a little hard headed. And I do think that probably nobody could do something better than me. Enneagram 3 problem. And
I
so
love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're like, yes, I agree. Yes, this is true. So, yeah, after that happened, and I've been doing it consistently for years, I decided to like start a podcast, help other people with the same issues that I had, or even just like how to get out there, how to get started, how to like have your brand be known per se. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me, my story, and how I got started in the industry in an explosive way.
Wow, so what year was that, and how did you go viral, and how the hell did you how did you shoot 17 weddings? A month.
Okay. No, so
In a
I
month.
booked them that month.
Oh,
God, no,
I
I was
see.
no,
Oh, wow.
that's impossible. I don't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
disclaimer, I did not shoot
Yeah.
17 weddings. Um,
Oh, you booked them. Okay, yeah, that's a lot. That's awesome.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cha-ching.
It was, yes.
So
Um,
how did you go viral? Yeah.
yeah, well, basically, like, back then, that was, like, around so it was, like, what, 2017, 2018? No, it was 2017.
Okay.
Um, and that was when, like, Instagram business accounts were, like, getting the hang of things. Instagram
Oh.
Stories was about to be released. So,
Oh.
Instagram was becoming a business page, and the thing is I actually didn't have a lot of followers. I had, like, 5K or less, but because of the work I was consistently putting out there, the way that I was, like, positioning my brand, they thought that I was the number 1 Detroit wedding photographer to follow on Instagram, and when you search Detroit wedding photographer, that article came out every time. So that SEO was like crazy strong for brides that year.
Wow.
Yes. And
Good
it was
job.
great. But okay, enough about me. Carissa, I want to hear your story. Like, how did you get started in the industry? Because I'm really curious.
Okay, so for my listeners, that is who was talking, Alora Rachelle, and you have to check out her work because it's amazing and it's very high end editorial. She does a lot of black and whites. Her couples are very elegant and very charming, and
Oh,
it's just
thank you.
outstanding, consistent, just high luxury work. And then for people that don't know me, for your listeners,
Yes.
hello CEO. I'm Carissa Wu with Carissa Wu Photography. I'm also a coach, so like we said, we're twinsies. Um, I got started like 12 years ago. I'm from LA, and I got in at a really good time. It was before even the wedding blogs, way before Pinterest or Instagram. We had Facebook. But yeah, I did some bride shows. I booked 50 weddings my first year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was a shit show. I did pretty well like my beginning years. I was in high demand from right from the get-go, and then I got lazy, I got cocky, I thought I knew it
Mm,
all. And then like everyone got better than me and I'm like, where are the inquiries at? And there was like thousands of new photographers every day.
right.
Um so it was like, what happened? And I wasn't super on social media because those were the glory days when you don't have to compare yourself all the time. But a
Hmm.
blessing and a curse. So I didn't know what was going on. And yeah, so then I had to kind of up my game mid-career, started networking with like venues and vendors and getting on the vendor list. And I guess you could say my style is like super like fun and vibrant and colorful and quirky. And my couple just love to have like, be crazy and have a good time. And I guess today we're going to kind of give a lot of banter and like have conversation, but our main topic is how to book these editorial weddings. That's your expertise. And then my expertise, I'm going to be talking about how to close these weddings.
I am so excited about this. Okay.
I love
Um,
your energy.
I'm like, woo, it's just like building up the trailer for this.
Yes.
But yeah, that is interesting. So I'm actually really interested because I've never heard this kind of version of like the story because it's usually like, oh, I got started. I had a friend who said shit my wedding, but you were like, no, I was already explosive, but then I just didn't know. Like I kind of want you to expand on your story a little bit. Like how did you know that well, I guess everybody was booking without you or like were your inquiries tanked? Like I guess how did you know what was the problem?
Oh, good question. I had to ask around, which is hard because I don't
Mm,
really like criticism. So
same.
I asked like my little cousin because she's like cute and popular, like what I'm doing wrong.
I love it.
I would ask around, like to poke around on my website. I actually had to like compare myself again to other photographers. Like, hey, was my work like not up to par? I had to start doing more styled shoots, more editorial shoots. Getting those like really expensive like fun dresses and like
Hmm.
really making my work like stand out more. Yeah, people just weren't knocking on my door anymore. So I was like, what's going on?
I like that you did something about it though and didn't just like drop out, like, "I quit. The market is saturated. I'm leaving."
Ah,
Ah,
yeah, it's a lot of people like complain and get negative, but I'm like, dude, if you're not getting leads, like you gotta look at your portfolio honestly.
it's time, baby. It's time.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
I guess you could give some tips to our listeners of how you kind of like got started with the editorial high-end weddings because people, are very intimidated by it. How you
Hmm.
knew you wanted that market and how you really went for that market and, really flourished in that market, which is very hard to do.
Really? It's really hard to do? Um Okay, I'm not trying to
I
make it
think
sound
so.
easy or anything, but I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah. No, I know you did it, like, really fast, but I think for some people like me, they get in that space where I'm like, "I'm not good enough,
mm,
I don't deserve it,"
mm,
who am I to be even be on a venue vendor list?
mm,
Those brides intimidate me, those weddings intimidate me, those planners intimidate me. So it's
mm.
kinda like, what was your mindset behind it? Were you just always like a natural badass?
I okay, so that's why, like, I do a lot of my episodes on mindset because I actually didn't realize that I didn't have mindset issues. I don't know if that sounds weird, but, like, I always thought I could do anything, and when I couldn't, then I
Good.
was
God
like, "I'm
parents, yeah.
awful." But, um
No, that's amazing.
well, is it? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to explain, but, like, I don't know. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so my
Mm.
dad would always tell me to stop working for other people, stop working at this retail place, stop doing that. You're not going to make enough money. Like, the best job as an entrepreneur, the sky's the limit. So I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I can do this. I can do anything. So,
Wow.
when you start raising your prices, that's
Oh.
when you get kicked back like, "Ooh, I don't think I'm actually worth this much," or the most popular one that I hear is like, "Well, I wouldn't pay that, so I'm not gonna charge that." And I'm like, "Girl,
Oh.
you are not like, you're not your ideal customer. Like, you are, but you're not. Like,
Mhm,
obviously, our
mhm.
clients invest way more into things than we do because that's just how it works. I mean, unless you're okay with, like, that perfect average, investment of weddings and, like, there you guys could, like, go to coffee together. My clients are a little too busy for that, but honestly, like, you have to do that client avatar thing just to see who you really want to work with. I don't say
Yes.
stay there. I don't say be strict about it and be like, I'm not hiring them because they don't shop at Madewell or they don't, have a
Uh-huh.
YSL purse. But I'm saying, like, just knowing what you really like, who you really want to work with and why is a big one.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, I have always been drawn to fashion. I actually studied it like in high
Mm.
school and college. I used to always like take out magazines and just that was what taught me how to pose people. I used to study like I know I
Oh.
sound old, like magazines. I studied because there was no Pinterest, you know?
I still read magazines, so
Okay, alright. So, I would cut out, like, magazines, and I would try and I would even, like, emulate it in the mirror, and then, like, I would learn how to communicate that to, like, the people that I was posing, AKA my sisters and cousins, but that taught me how to be really good at posing, because actually, you find out in the editorial bit that they actually like to be directed a little bit.
yeah,
Not
uh-huh,
all the
uh-huh.
time, but they wanna know you know what you're doing. Because
Uh,
if they stand there and they're extremely expensive, custom-made tailored gown, and you're like,
mm.
jumping each other's back, they're like, "No?"
I totally get you, that's hilarious.
Okay, and, like, I've done it all, like, I didn't start out editorial, though, like, I've always been drawn to it, but it didn't really exist. It was either, like, very, very traditional or, like, dark and moody, like, light and airy, dark and moody, and so I like the in between, so I actually never fit in. So I said, "You know what? I'm gonna be light and airy
No.
for 2 years," and I didn't like it. Everybody was overexposed, I felt bad, I was like, "Oh, no, skin tones are green," and so I was like, "Let me go to dark and moody." Dark and moody's super warm, everybody's got
Uh-huh.
jaundice, it's fine, and
I had done this. I'm still very yellow.
That's what my mom always tells me, like, "Don't make me look olive, Alora, I'm olive." I'm like, "Okay, I got this." Whew, that took me out. Okay, so
I
so
love that
then
about you.
I finally found, like, the in between, and I was like, "Okay, let me study, like, cinema." Cinema is, like, my
Mm.
go-to for sure, and I was like, I'm just gonna study this, I'm gonna tear apart these movies, look at the colors, look at the lighting, and so that is really what took my entire business to the next level, and you know what it was? Because I wasn't
Whoa.
fitting in a box anymore. I was like, if this is what I love, and I love magazines and I love cinema, I'm just gonna do that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
leaving the box. And so turns out that LA, of course, is always ahead of us Midwesterners over here. You
Uh-huh.
guys were already like they exclaimed this new genre called editorial, and I was like, oh, that's me. That's who I've been like all along. Are you kidding me? And
Wow.
I was like, okay, great, cool. Like, challenge accepted. So I dove head on, and I don't know. I mean, it's hard to explain. That's such a long story. Like, I feel like
No, I love
I it
it.
I mean, it was, but I just, I don't know. So, like, that's what I teach, like, my students, at least, is that,
Uh-huh.
like, you really need to dive deep in and figure out, like, who you are and what you wanna do versus
Mm,
looking at your competition and be like, "Oh, I
mm.
could never be them." You're right. You can't, and you're not. So do you, you know? Like, look inside and find your secret
Yes.
sauce, your brand magic, and I promise you, you're gonna be so much more confident behind that, and you'll probably have less mindset struggles because 'cause you're not trying to be so and so on Instagram, you know?
I was gonna ask you, so were you trying to be like a fashion designer?
I wanted to,
Okay.
actually. Yes,
Okay.
I
So
did.
you wanted to be a fashion designer and you're going to school for it and it didn't like pan out, or you just kind of found wedding photography instead?
Okay, my story. Yeah, so I actually wanted to go to school for fashion design, but I was told, due to that did you take that, like, personality career test, like, in high school? And
I love how you're so into
oh my
tests.
gosh, I saw a
Personality
meme
test.
yesterday,
Yeah, I did.
and and there was, like, people saying, "Who else got funeral director on that personality quiz?" And I was crying in the car.
That is
But
so bad.
I got web designer, and then I think
Oh,
fashion designer was, like, 3rd, and I was like, "Oh, great, as a designer, like, I'm down." So I went to school for that, and I go to college, and everybody in that class was a man, and they were really old, and I was like, "Nope, this is not my vibe. Like, I
uh-huh.
no." And so I was like, "I think I'm gonna switch my major." I don't know what it is yet, but I'll just take a bunch of psychology classes or whatever. And they're like, "Well, we have this photography like elective open. It's an easy A. Everybody loves it." And I'm like, "Okay,
Oh,
cool." The teacher used to like shoot with Michael Jackson. I'm down. So with
yes.
that class, very true, easy A, lots of trees and grass and flower shots. Later, my teacher's like, "You should do weddings." And I was like,
Wow.
"Bill, there's no money in weddings." Like, because I know my friends who like
Oh.
did weddings for $50. I'm like, "There's no money in this." And he's like, "No, it's a career, I promise you. Like, people are doing this. I've done it for years. You can make a pretty good buck." And me working at Wendy's, I'm like, smelling like, fish oil every day. I was like, that is let me try this. So I, made a website on Wix, and I said, "Let's do this. You got this pink and baby blue branding, and you did this font in Google Docs. Like, let's go. Let's go." Actually, it was Word doc because Google Docs did not exist. So Word document, and I screenshot it, and I said, "That's it. Alora Rachelle Photography is in business."
Nice. I use Wix too. That's so funny.
It's very
Go Wix.
scrappy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. When I was a kid, like my mom would always ask, or like that job that the kid always says, I was always like fashion designer, fashion designer.
Mhm.
But I never,
I
I
love it.
never really experienced the whole fashion world. But that's really good. Like I think it really helped you like tap into that editorial look.
Yeah, it's not too shabby. I feel like it comes natural though because it was like something I wanted to do. And so like it just turns out that like now instead of designing, clothes, my brides have like really gorgeous statement dresses.
Yes,
Like, and
yes.
I'm like I get to live through this career through weddings and it's fun and yeah. So, okay, but like Krista, what got you into learning about sales and, like,
Ooh, great
closing?
question. I think like I said, when I was not doing very well in my business, I had 7 meetings, and you know how hard that is to get, like, those 7
Mhm.
meetings. I got the meetings, I sat down with them for an hour or whatever, cleaned my office, anxiety all day about it, and then they said no or ghosted me or whatever, went with another direction, and I was, like, so sad, like, almost, like, went into depression, and, like, my friends were saying, like, "Oh, maybe you should work for another photographer, blah, 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 get a
Jeez.
job," which I would never do, which is because once you have freedom, like, you'll never go
You can't
back.
go back.
Yeah,
Nope.
never. Like, literally like prison. So, I
Yeah.
was like, "Heck no." So, I had to figure it out. So, I guess I hired a money coach, I hired a sales coach, I took all these courses, sales, sales,
Mhm.
sales. I don't teach posing because I've always been good at posing. I was a dancer my whole life. I
No.
struggled with sales. So super awkward. I just pretty shy. And so I had to overcome my fear of sales. And that's kind of why I teach it.
Okay, because I was gonna say everyone is afraid of sales, and, like, can you I'm not afraid of sales because my dad's a salesman too, so, like, I
Oh.
was so used to being like, "Hey, you want this thing? It's really great, blah, 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 blah," and I'm like, "If they don't want it, they don't want it." But can
Mm.
you, like, break down the process? Like, just, like, for me, like, what comes up, like, or what used to come up when you would talk like, when people would say sales or when they'd be like, "Well, you're not doing this, you need to do this." Like, what is the fear behind sales really?
I think my fear the most was not understanding how to communicate to the couples
Mm.
because I remember like people would even hire me and they would ask me all these questions about the wedding and I'm kind of like, dude, I'm just there. Like
Ugh!
I'm going to be there like photographing your wedding like I can't articulate everything that happens in a wedding because I was just
Fair.
too new. So now, once you experience weddings, like weddings, like everything that's going to go down. Like, hey, you better give yourself some wiggle room after the makeup because you had to put on your Spanx, you have to tip the vendors, you have to fix your eyeliner, you have to go to the bathroom. Like all these little things that you know and you would never understand. Like, hey, you didn't give yourself enough time for driving, or like, who are you guys going to caravan? Or are you going to take a limo? Like, how about the parking situation? Like, like all the like nooks and crannies of a wedding. And it's scary, like, if you're new, you just don't know, like, what to say to the couples or, like, how to sell yourself and, like, going back to your, perfect client avatar, like, who
Mhm,
even are you as a photographer and, like, why should they choose
mhm.
you? Why do you stand out? So, I think that's the biggest struggle, just being, like, intimidated by the conversation.
Yeah, I feel like that is just and it's like maybe it's because like, you don't know what you don't know
Yes.
because nobody talks about sales, everyone just talks about marketing or branding or you just need a LLC or you just need to have this and that, and it's like, you need a good Instagram, but no one talks about so once you have these clients, like, what in the world are you gonna do with them? Or if something's not working, it doesn't mean you're a bad photographer, right? Like, that's a huge
Totally.
mindset one I hear a lot.
Yeah, you could be have a great portfolio and then be getting the leads and then maybe send your price list and you hear crickets and you're like, why? So I guess
Mhm,
it comes down to my approach is different from other people, but the main chunk of it is getting on the phone or a Zoom call with your potential clients and having that conversation, like understanding their likes and dislikes and asking
mhm.
photography related questions, breaking down walls, showing your personality, getting to know them, blah blah blah. But so after I get the inquiry, I actually like text them right away, like literally right away. And I get them on like a 10-minute phone call, usually with the bride, sometimes a groom. And I just kind of like it's very basic, but I'm pretty much have my like star personality on and just very super excited for them. And I do have good energy. I can't say I had good energy when I just had the baby. It's like even hard to put on that happy face, when you're postpartum. So
Yes, yes.
now, I got my groove on. Stella's got her groove back type of thing. But when I get them on the call, like I'm literally like, woo, like jumping up and down for them and just kind of getting to know them. And I think at the end of the day, they feel like they could trust me and they feel like I'm going to take care of them. And that's like
Mm.
the big thing.
Yeah, I feel like client experience goes a long way too. Like, I'm learning with the shift of, like, the rise in photographers and then kind of, like, the rise in, like, coaches is that clients now have so many options. I think they're looking more like, even though they love a brand or they love your work, I think they're looking also for a personality fit as well. Like, what do you think about that?
Mm,
Like, if
totally.
I've had a bride call me in a panic and was like, "I don't think like, I just had this amazing photographer, I loved her stuff, and, but I got on the phone with her and, like, we did not vibe at all, and I just knew that I
Mm,
couldn't, like, hire her or she couldn't handle my family or she couldn't," and I was like,
mm.
"Whoa, this is new." Like, I feel like brides know the game now, so it's
Yeah.
like you said, we just have to step it up and kind of analyze like, something might not be working anymore. You might have to learn sales. You might have to learn client experience. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm not like a sales expert or like sales psychology expert. It's just, after we talk to thousands of brides, we kind of understand them
Yeah,
really well.
basically.
Like I go to a bar and I'm just like, "What's your love story?" Just I'm it's just the conversation that I go to because I'm so used to it and I'm good
Mhm.
at it. I'm like I ask the follow-up questions the proposal story, and I'm interested, and
Mhm.
how many guests are they going to do first look, and why is wedding photography important, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love talking about like the whole love story part. But I was going to ask you, like, do you send your prices out and then just wait for them to like book a call, or what's like your process?
Ooh, yeah, nope. I do send them a little bit of like a pricing proposal, but higher end clients are very much into custom proposals. They're not
Oh,
really intrigued by a pricing guide. They're like,
okay.
well, I don't want this, but I want this and I want to triple this. And then you say, oh,
Mm.
well, this is the only pick. That doesn't work. Okay. They're like, all right, cool. I'll find somebody else. Like, you obviously don't care about me. I think luxury clients, they want to know that they're taken care of. And so, like, we teach about a luxury client experience. Just because I just feel like from the beginning, if you don't answer their questions before they ask, they're already asking questions in their head. Like, you gotta
Mm.
think about luxury brands and, like, the way that they approach things, and when you walk into, like, a certain, I don't know, Von Maur or something, and, like, the way that they treat you, there's a piano playing in the middle of the room, it's like, "Wow, I feel like I belong here," and even if the
Yeah.
client isn't necessarily quote unquote "luxury," everybody wants to feel that way, and so for
Mm.
me, I do offer that, but I make it very clear that I am here to serve you. Anything you need, let me know. I will custom anything. And like I have like email scripts and all that jazz, but
Mhm.
like I have a process, and that process has
Mm.
like I think my customer service and personality like books me the leads as well. Just because like I said, I don't know, you can't really become a different personality. And so it's kind of nice to be able to attract people that just like get it and they're like, oh, we want her. Like she's the one. We'll make our budget work. We've seen her accolades, so many things. But yeah, that's my
No,
process.
okay, first of all, you do have a great personality, I have to say. You make me feel very
Stop.
comfortable. You're hilarious. And when you talk about yourself on Instagram, it really does show your personality. It really does.
I can't do
You're
this right now.
No, like, your confidence, and when putting the photo with the caption, you come off as, like, you really know who you are, and I think that was instilled by, your dad or your mom from saying you could do anything. So,
Oh,
yeah, you really shine on your social, and then when you meet you, it's just like heck yes, obviously fit,
stop.
yeah.
You're so cute. No, you're the same though. I feel like you're so like bubbly in your photos, and I was like really excited to talk to you. I was like, "Oh my god, she's going to make me laugh," and you already have so many times. So,
Yay.
same, same, feel the same.
Okay, let me tell one more thing about the sales call.
Mhm.
Um, I do like a little album viewing, which really helps. So I pick my
Mm,
favorite album and I walk them through it I put on Canva. So I like share the screen and I kind of just ask them questions as I go through the album. Like,
nice.
are you guys big dancers? Tell me a little bit about your family dynamic. And
Mhm.
then at the end, I really ask, like, if I do get them on a Zoom call, which some of them really like, then I ask them really powerful questions, like at the end, like, what do you love most about each other? It may come off as kind of intimidating for some newer photographers to ask those type of powerful questions, but I think because I've been doing it so long, like, I don't even have to preface it. I just ask.
Mhm, mhm. Yep, I understand. I agree.
Yeah, yeah, and it
I
gets people like off their guard, and they kind of let their guard down.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about albums, because I know, and that's probably another thing with selling. They're like, "Well, I don't know where to get started. I don't want to push it. I just want to be cool. They don't even need an album. They'll just print one on Shutterfly, blah blah blah." And I've heard it all, but I'd love to hear like
Yeah.
your perspective.
Yeah, I do hype up the album. I say, like, I know your wedding better than anyone, and I actually care about your photos more than you do. So I told them, like, trust me, you're not gonna make this type of album on Shutterfly, like you said.
Mhm.
Like, this is different. Like, these albums are like flesh mount. They're exactly curated to tell your story. It's like
Ooh.
perfectly edited. You literally have it forever, like, passed down to generation from generations. Like, you need the
Mm.
album. So really hype it up. Like, you could print your photos, but the album is like your true like wedding story. And marriage is really tough. You have ups and downs, but you could
Mhm.
always go to your wedding album or wedding video and be like, that was like when we were like freaking like
Babies.
the best. Yeah. Babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at your photos like, wow, we were super hot and you didn't even know it back then.
Didn't even know. I
Yeah.
would, like, point to them, like, "Appreciate this girl, okay, who took a chance on you." Um,
Yeah.
I love that, honestly, and you know what I think too about, like, sales is and that's another thing that, like, you have to reframe it because really all sales is just you were just explaining the value. There was no there was
Mhm.
no buy now 19.99, call 1-800 so and so and then get free shipping and handling.
Ah,
That's
that's
that's what
funny.
we're used to, you know? You're like, "No, this is you guys are beautiful. I care about this. It's hand curated." Like there's so much of value there and they're like, "Well, if she says it's great, then it has to be." Like it's just that simple.
Yeah, you could up the value, like, when they have the album and the package, like, I do a three-tier package and custom proposals too,
Mhm.
um, but when you hype up the album, it makes, like, the value of this package, like a 5, 6, 7K package, like, more like, "Oh, we
Mhm.
need this." Not like, "Oh my god, like, why are we spending so much? What is it even worth?" You know? Like,
Mhm.
you really have to hype up the value of, like, the album, like, "No one could do this for you,"
Yeah,
and yeah,
I
just
agree.
being able to talk about like why you're different from other photographers or why you stand out, like your perfect bride, because you're interviewing them just as much as like they're
Mhm.
interviewing you. So you have to have that mindset, and the mindset that it's just a conversation, getting to know each other, and it's not like scary. So that's why I love like talking to my brides.
And
And
you
if
have
you,
to like
yeah,
people. You have to like people if you're in this business, by the way, because like Carissa's
yeah.
putting it very simple, you know? It's like you're gonna have a lot of communication with them. Like you are their photographer. You're literally capturing their entire love story that's supposed to last forever, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and I've seen photographers that are introverted and they could get away with it, but you have to be able to communicate that through your copy too. Like you're more like the fly in the wall and more like all candidates, all photojournalistic. Like you don't have to direct, but you have to find like the client that wants that. Like I'm very directive and I could be, paparazzi lens when I have to, but for the most part, like they're definitely gonna see me, so they have to vibe well with me.
Yeah. I totally get that. It's a very front facing, but then there's also a lot in the back end. Like there's a lot that has to like get this going to be profitable and smooth, but it's totally worth it. And I feel like if you love, weddings and you love love and you love people, I think that it's the perfect, I don't know, it's the perfect end all be all. It's a great business to be in.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, so how did you go from like, you said baby blue or pink, like wig site to, you know, closing like these or booking these high-end luxury clients that
Mhm.
have like couture dresses? Like, what was the biggest struggle with that? Like your mindset, did you have any imposter syndrome and how did you overcome that?
Ooh, girl, she's over here taking off my sweater. Yes, I had a lot of imposter syndrome. So going when you like go from the average price, and if you like Google search, what's the average like photographer wedding investment, and you'll see it's like 2 to 3K or something. So when you jump from that, and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna triple my prices. It's fine. The leads will come. And
Yeah.
your mind will be like, like you're not that good. Do you even know what a luxury brand is? How are you even going to track these people? Because like I feel like it's just like that anxiety thing. Like, what if there's never enough? There's never enough. I could never. So and so is better than me. It might not be for me. And all of that, as I always say in my six-figure mindset episode, is that it's just your mind protecting you.
Mm.
None of that is true. You haven't even put in the work to see if it could work yet. So my whole thing is if you hear anything and you're like it's like telling you not to do something, that's the thing you got to do, man. Listen, jump in.
Oh. I gotta listen to that episode. I stayed at like a same like income for a long time because in my mind I thought that advancing mean paying like in my
Mhm.
income. And I listened to a lot of like Jim Proctor, like I would just like YouTube random like money searches, money
Yeah.
mindset searches, and it was like a millionaire, even if they lose all that money, like it's pretty easy for them to like get it back the next year through a different business just because of their mindset. Or if like everyone's bank account was wipe zero, probably the next year it would be like the same amount that they made because it's just like our mindset. So it really like struck a chord with me. And
Mm.
I did a lot of like mindset money work during the pandemic because I was like not doing anything. And yeah, what I learned about myself was when I thought about growing like better financial um, income for myself, it mean a lot of pain growing. And guess what? It was a lot of pain. I actually hired a coach and I really pushed myself to do the coaching thing, to scale it, to have the group course, not do things my own way, like have the system that someone else is already doing it. It was very painful. Pretty much like mental breakdown,
Oh my
2021.
gosh.
Yeah, because it was like I was literally trying to make it work so bad,
Mm.
for that year or less than a year, and it was really hard because you have to give up a lot of, like, your free time. With 2 kids, it's a lot harder, shifting around, trying to do the podcast, the photography, the coaching, learning, getting coached, coaching people, doing things for free, starting a new business system, different target market. Like it was really, really tough. But at the end of the day, like literally a new person because of it. And my mindset shifted from like the 6-figure mark to much higher.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, I keep forgetting that we're moms. We haven't talked about our kids once, but
Ah!
I but it's true because it's like we have a limited amount of time that we can do something. And growing a coaching business is like a world within a world within a world.
Mm,
Like
totally.
becoming an educator is not just doing a mentorship program. It's not that at all. It is a million other things. But I think you learn how to manage your time and you learn how, at least I have learned that I have to be my biggest cheerleader no matter what. Like nobody else is.
Mm.
What did Mel Robbins say? Like, no one's coming. I used to tell my husband that no one's coming. Like, no one's coming to get you. You have to push yourself. And he's like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, that's awful. I'm like, you have to remind, like, nobody else, if when you're an entrepreneur, no one's checking in on you to be like, hey, did you do that
yeah,
contract?
yeah,
Did
yeah,
you
yeah,
sign up for
yeah.
that course? No, they're like, here's what you paid. I hope you, it's like college, right? The
Yeah.
professor's like, listen, you already paid me. So you better
Yes.
show up and do the work. And so the same thing is for us. Like we have to learn how to do that in less amount of time. So like mad respect to you, girl,
Mm.
for doing it, especially through the breakdowns and all that stuff. Cause it is really hard. I think the pandemic didn't help us very much. Having
Mm.
them 24/7. I was pregnant, so I was crying left and right. I didn't know if the world was on fire or like if I was gonna have the kid at home. Like it was crazy. But
I
we
was the
made
same
it.
as you too. Yeah, I have the same. We were the same.
We're the
5 and
same.
2. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're the
Oh
same
my
person.
god. Well, it's creeping me out. It really is. Like I love it so
Wait,
much
so
though.
wait, when did you start your coaching program?
So I actually just started it in January.
Oh,
I'm a
nice.
baby.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, it's gonna take off. Oh my god.
Oh,
It's
you're so nice. Thank you.
yeah, what's been the biggest struggle? I'm sure there's many, but what do you think it is?
In terms of coaching or in terms of
Yeah,
like
or
with
just
the
like the
students?
transition from like photographer to coaching and what
Whoa.
percentage you wanna be at.
Okay, so I think the thing about wedding photography business, if we can just get raw and real here, for those that aren't interested in growing a coaching business, I guess turn off your ears. But it's like the wedding business can really be almost an autopilot. Like the workflows, the emails, all that stuff can auto send. You hop on a call, more workflows auto send, and
Mm,
that's
mhm.
like, and then you show up, and then more workflows and auto sends, right?
Mm, mhm.
That's it. But for the coaching business, like I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and it'll be great and I'll be successful. And it's like, nope, you gotta do this. Okay, I'm gonna do that and it's gonna be great. And nope, you gotta do this. And then you have to invest in this person. And then you have to learn about money mindset. Then you have to learn about sales. Then you have to learn
Yeah.
about this. And then you have to learn how to be a good leader because you have a team. And I was like,
Yeah.
ah. It was to the point where I would like go on walks and just be like, all right, Galore, you got this. Like, don't give up. And then sometimes I'm like, I'm giving up. I'm just gonna be a photographer. I can't do this anymore. But
Oh, I love
it's
it.
it's a lot of work. It's real, it's raw. Like anything new, I feel like it's gonna come with a new set of challenges and obstacles. And you just have to like reframe your mind, be like, all right, this is gonna be crazy, But if you believe in yourself, you can do it because like I said, no one's coming.
Oh, I love it. It's like the you build it, they will come, but it's like no one will come.
No one will come. It's like you build it, but nobody's coming.
Yeah, you're like, where the people at?
Yeah, and that's like another thing is you're gonna have to learn your marketing strategy changes. You're not bringing in client like brides anymore. You're bringing in students. You're bringing in people that are doing like struggling with the thing that you struggled with 10 years ago. So then you have to. It's just with anything, like I said, comes with a set of challenges. But you're doing it. I'm doing it. We have 2 kids. It's
Can I
happening.
tell you my little epiphany?
Please.
Um, okay, so I've done it all, but I think my biggest shift was you have to kind of change the mindset of photographers, like, and have like your one signature way that you teach. Like we could
Mm.
kind of teach it all because we've been in the game forever. We could do blogging, we do Pinterest, SEO, how to make
Mhm.
a caption, reels, but you need your like very like signature like approach to something. And like the first thing you have to like change the mindset of the photographer, like, hey, maybe like you don't have to do it all.
Mhm.
um, hey, you could jump from zero to high end clients like your first year, like shifting their mindset, like they could do
Mhm.
it. And then you have to be like, okay, this is my signature method of doing
Mhm.
something, A, B, C, D, being really able to communicate that and not it being like too confusing. And then obviously the clothes, which I love. Asking for the sale.
Is there like a signature method? Like, what do you call that?
You could call yours, like the CEO, the CEO luxury brand photographer signature method, and you have your approach. Mine's kind of like how to get leads on autopilot type of thing.
Oh, I love
Uh,
that.
lead machine because it's kind of like we all are evolving like as photographers. Like obviously
Mhm.
wedding photography is like the best job in the world, but it's like when you see the money coming in and when you start booking, you're most likely just going to get better and better. But, people struggle the most with getting the clients.
Yes. When you step into the industry, you have no idea like how to communicate to those people instead of being like, "Hey, I have a mini session. Sign up in this link." And I'm just like, "Where are the people?" Oh my goodness. And it's like marketing is like a lot more. Like I thought marketing was a simple term, and then I come to find out it's actually the branding, the marketing, the client experience, your website, all of it. I was like,
Yeah.
it's an entire process. Like marketing's not like, "Oh, how do I get clients?" It's like, boo. There's a 5-step process here. Like you have to first get your mindset together because you're right, you ain't right. Like you ain't gonna be right for a minute. And just know
Yeah.
what's happening. And then, figure out who you are and then figure out like how to communicate that now that you know who you are. And then like that's the part with the marketing is that it can go a million different ways. And so yeah,
Mm.
for sure. But I like that I like that ours like definitely play into each other. It feels like we have like a whole 12-month program combined. Like
Yeah, it's so interesting. Wanted to ask you, like, say you're a new photographer and you're trying to figure out like who you are as a photographer. Like,
Mhm.
where do you start? Do you just start like jotting down notes or like asking your previous clients like what they thought of you or how would
Mhm.
your friends describe you? Like say someone that is multifaceted and likes everything. Like I like garden, like a beach, I like hipster, I'm colorful, I like monochromatic, I like moody. Like
Mhm.
how would they go about to kind of like figure out who they really are and how do we encourage people to like really understand like the riches are in the niches?
Mm. Yeah, because I feel like when you're talking to everyone, you are talking to no one, and I was
Mhm.
against that for a while, to be honest with you. I was like,
Mm.
no, because the more people you talk to, the more people you reach, and it's honestly because there's so much noise, and I'm not saying the market is saturated because
Mm.
it's such a common term, but I'm saying is that if you don't stand out and you aren't the go-to for a specific reason, no one's going to hire you. Like, let's say
Mm.
I had a thyroid issue after I had my son, which is why I'm done having kids, God bless me. And
Mm.
I had to see an endocrinologist. I could not see a family doctor. I couldn't see a pediatrician. And so you got to think about like people that have specialties. What is your specialty? Now, that's I feel like once you get the marketing machine going, it makes sense to niche down, of course. But if you're like, I don't want the noise, I want to niche down right away and book higher end clients, like you, okay? Because like we all need that in our life. But for like my process is I do a lot of like inner work, and it's
Mm.
I have this big Google Doc. I mean, it's super long, but it's called a deep dive. And like we dive into, I can just give you like three questions off the top of my head. The first one is kind of like who are you? What do you do and why do you do this, right?
Mm.
Why do you even like what you're doing?
Mhm.
What is like the most important thing that you capture like on the wedding day to you, right? How
Mhm.
does this connect with your why? And so you just keep writing those things over and over and over, and then you look back. And so I said, now look at this entire document that you filled out, these pages and pages, and I'm like, what are the common themes? Like what like when you look at this document, like what are you drawn to, or like what don't you like about what you're doing, so like just even because like that can let you know the kind of clients you don't want to work with, even like right away, if you don't want to make an avatar. So I do a lot of inner work and just like, what do you want, like what do you want and why do
Yeah.
you want it? And so once we go through that, then like we hop on a group call and we like talk through their design. What are you drawn to? We come up with like a very custom mood board with each student. And so they're able to be like, I am shooting things that I don't like. And now I know why I wanted to
Mm.
quit the industry. And I'm like, you've been attracting it because it's all you show. And it's just like having those breakthroughs and realizing, like for me,
Yeah.
I was in a
Uh-huh.
box. Like I was in all these different niches and I was like, I don't think photography is for me. Like I can't get it together. I don't feel fulfilled. And like of course it's not always about me, but if you're going to drive yourself because no one's coming, you got to at
Yeah.
least like what you do.
Yeah, totally. No one's gonna get you.
Yeah. So that's like kind of the just like a little bit of a sneak peek into the process of like how we like just go through those layers. But yeah, I mean, of course, you can like a million things. I love a ton of things that are bright and colorful. I have like I think a sheep thingy hanging up here that looks like a boho thing. I don't know. I like modern mid-century. I love it all. I like things. So I'm not saying that like, oh, this is not a part of my life. I just know the kind of clients that I want to work with and the kind of stuff that I want to put out for my business. And sometimes it can be a little separate, I mean, you aren't completely your business 300%. You can have an identity on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of aha moments in your answer, so great job on answering the question. That's very insightful, and I think you break it down in, like, a very easy way. I
Okay.
think the last 5 minutes, can we just ask each other some, like, fun rapid fire questions?
Okay. Yes, let's do it.
Okay, I guess the first one for you is, what do you think the hardest thing about being a wedding photographer is?
Hardest struggle for wedding photographers? Wow. I actually would just say like standing out in this industry because the market is
Yay, that's
saturated,
a
is what I
common
hear.
common theme then for this episode.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, well, I can't do this because I don't this," or it's, like, very just much like a lot of objections dealing with who they are as a person without looking at it as a business, and that's, like it could be I don't know, it's like a strength and a weakness I have, but I look at things like a business all the time. I'm like, "This is not personal. This is not personal. This is business, like, step away." And some people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so invested," and I'm like, "Yeah, but your business isn't literally, like, who you are. It's a part of who you
Mm,
are."
yeah, yeah.
So, just having to like have that clear line and be like, okay, it's like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever. I'm done with work. I'm gonna go be a person now. I'm no longer, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah,
signing off
yeah.
like regular people. So,
I mean, that's
but
a whole, like, pretty much gist of your podcast, Hello CEO. It's like stepping into your CEO role, not like stepping into, like, you are the only person you are as a business. Like, you are,
sure.
like, yeah, more
Yeah.
than that.
I actually have that podcast has been through so many rebrands. I like apologize to all my listeners. They're probably like, what am I listening to at this point?
It's all good.
But I
Rebrands are
mean,
good.
it comes natural to me. So I'm like, why don't I just talk about the thing that I've already been talking about with the wrong name? So, but okay, so for you, Carissa, I actually want to ask you a fun question. I like this question, and I think I've asked somebody else this before, but like, what is your favorite animal?
Oh, I have a dog. You could probably he's in the back right there.
Oh, he laid out.
Yeah, he's a 110-pound golden retriever. But he causes a lot of stress in my life actually. Very big and very furry. So I'm pretty much vacuuming all day.
You're like, I love
But
him, but he's the worst.
yeah, I'm actually not really like a big animal person.
Like, okay, not an animal that you keep, but like one that you like or think is cute. Like my daughter loves penguins, or I love like pandas. So you literally like know nothing, like not even a snake or a iguana or
My sister has a tortoise, and it was, in her backyard on Sunday, and I was just very concerned that I was gonna step on it. But I thought
that's
it
my
was really
biggest
cute.
fear.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Its name is Pliny from the beer, but I would, like, got close, I was like, "Oh my god, I almost stepped on it."
Oh my that
Yeah, but I mean,
that's
animals are
terrifying.
obviously very cute, it just I'm not the biggest, like, "Oh my god, I wanna pet every dog" type of person.
No, me neither. I actually love dogs, but I'd rather they not kiss me.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
rather. Um, but
Okay, one question then for you.
sure.
What are you looking forward to most this upcoming year? Personal or business?
Going on vacation. So, I am a recovering workaholic, and I
Oh.
have worked my entire life and have
Oh,
never gone on a vacation, like, without work, like, left my laptop.
wow.
So,
Wow.
my goal is actually to eventually take a sabbatical and at least for a couple weeks, if not a year, but
Ooh.
my goal is to have my business and automation and to like help others. Yeah, just I that's why I really love like what I did with the coaching. Like we're still get I think they're graduating next month, but
Uh-huh.
like just the whole process is like being able to really invest in people and watch them grow. Like with weddings it's like one and done unless I have babies, but I love kids. I love my
Uh-huh.
kids, but I'm not going to photograph babies. I newborns make me nervous, even though I've had
Uh-huh.
two. So it's like they go on and like they're gone right until the next wedding and the
Yeah.
next wedding. But like when you're like investing in students and like watching them grow and helping them with these milestones, it's like wow, I could do this literally forever. It doesn't even feel like work for me. I actually like that's how I know that that's the thing I'm supposed to do because it doesn't exhaust me, it doesn't mentally drain me. It actually like gives me momentum. I always get a B12 smoothie and I'm like good for the rest of the day. So, those are my two
Wow.
goals.
I love that.
What are your goals?
You know that mind shift thing I was telling you about?
Mhm.
So I'm very focused on this 3-day mini course I'm putting out. So I'm actually gonna record my last day after we speak. So the first day is like shifting the mindset of photographers, like you don't have to do it
Mhm.
all. Second day is like my signature approach, kind of like you, like finding the perfect client avatar and then how to like how to communicate that. And then the third day is, or the second day is also like how to get the leads on autopilot with like social selling and like attraction marketing. And third
Mhm.
day is about how to close them. And then I'm gonna push like social selling ads to that mini course. So it's a really cool thing that I got going on because I feel like I don't have to do it all. um, it was the most freeing thing from this past, like everything I learned this past couple of years. And that's kind of now what I'm shifting the mindset of photographers. Like you don't have to do it all. Like stick with the script, stick with this my method, and you could like free your mind and do well in photography. So it's a very like freeing thing.
I love that. I love that freedom. That's actually my word of the year. It was thrive at first, but then I was like, girl, get off the hustle." I was like, "I want freedom." So, I
Yes.
feel that.
Yeah, and then I'm just, yeah, so happy we had this powerful conversation, and I'm sure me and you are gonna connect always and just encourage each other because we're the same person
Right?
in a
I
lot of
feel
ways.
like you're the one person that's coming.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm triple A coming. I'll be there in 10 minutes, yeah.
Yes. Please, please be my AAA. No,
Yeah.
this was so great. It was so nice to meet you. Thank you for having me on your podcast and vice versa. I'm so excited for our listeners to hear this, and, there's so much good stuff in this. Like, I'm actually gonna listen to it for sure. Can't
For
wait.
sure. Thank you, Alora.
Thanks.